Adam here from Northwest Slackline, and today we're at Cal Anderson Park on Capitol Hill, and I wanted to break a line locker, specifically one of these non-forged little itty-bitty ones. I've warned a lot of people not to buy the non-forged ones because I've seen them bend up when other people use them, and I'm curious what it's going to take to actually bend and break it. So we'll have some sort of, kind of quasi-scientific information about what it'll take. So behind me is a pull test rig that I've sort of put together, and we're going to go ahead and just try to break it.
Yellow paint, them niggas scared of it, but them hoes ain't. Soon as I hit the club, look at them hoes' face. Hit the pedal once, make the floor shake. Sway inside, my engine roaring. It's the big boy, you know what I paid for it. And I got the pedal to the metal. Got you niggas checking game, I'm balling out on every level. Hear them haters talk, but there's nothing you could tell them. Just made $1 million, got another million on my schedule. No love for them, nigga breaking hearts. No keys, push to start. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. Yeah, screaming that's nothing. When I pulled off the line, that's nothing.
So what we just saw in our pull test is that around 2,500 pounds of tension, the ring, this guy, actually began to wrap around the carabiner in a sort of J shape. That's really amusing to me, but it's also really dangerous. If you sort of slow motion the video and you look back, what you'll see is that the dyno read about 1,000 pounds when it began to distort and 1,500 when it really began to distort. I consider this ring not safe to use for a regular primitive line, and that's because a normal primitive line with no pulleys whatsoever, I at 160 pounds can pull to 500 pounds of tension. When you add me on the line, I'm bouncing, I'm doing tricks, it's easily getting near 1,000 pounds of tension. You consider the fact that this was a brand new ring with a tag still on it, it had never been fatigued or worn out. I can easily see this ring breaking in a substantial way, or fatiguing in a substantial way, after repeated riggings at 500 or 1,000 pounds. So what actually catalyzed this test was that I was at REI with a friend helping her assemble a primitive kit, and they were out of the forged Omega Pacific rings, and the guy who worked in the climbing section said, oh no, you can use these non-forged rings, it's totally safe, I use them with my slackline all the time. And for me that was sort of the final straw. I really had to test this out now if people at REI are giving this advice. I've definitely seen people at the beach who've seen my rig and then later bought these non-forged rings because they didn't hear my instructions clearly enough. But if people are giving out advice that it's okay to buy non-forged rings, we really needed to do this test, and I think the test has proven that it's not safe long-term to use these rings. The evidence that I would put forth is proving that. If you look at the other ring we used, which is a forged Mad Rock ring, we used this for 5 pull tests in the same day. It was a brand new ring, and this thing is barely dented. In some of the other tests, we put it up over 5,000 pounds of tension, and it has little teeny dents on it. So as you can see, this ring has a lot of life left in it. This is what you're going to get out of a forged ring. Even if it's aluminum, it's okay, it just needs to be forged. So if you compare the ring we used for 5 tests that was brand new to other forged rings I've owned for years, either the Omega Pacific ring that REI sells or a Mad Rock ring, I've rigged both of these hundreds of times with thousands of pounds of tension. They got dents all over them, but they're not visibly distorted, they're not visibly fatigued. They still look safe to use, they still behave in the way you would expect them to behave. So my point is that using forged aluminum rings is the minimum you should do, and maybe you even want to use really, really strong steel stuff if you're doing something sort of crazy like rigging a long line.